why don't you introduce yourself first and like what you're trying to do with Patchwork Comics?
All right, it's a little crooked, but that shouldn't be a problem. My idea first was to just kind of establish a publishing company for myself so that I can be in control of my ideas and actually have creative control and be in control of the publishing and know how what's going down and just do it for myself. But then eventually I started including more people and I started wanting to develop Patchwork Comics into a stepping stone for people to get into the industry. It's I always tell everyone that basically I want this to be your first forte into the industry. I want you to actually be able to enter the comic book industry or evolve into the person you want to be, and I want Patchwork Comics to help you be that vehicle to get to that point.
What's I'm looking at your website right now. I can see that it's
I apologize about the website. It is kind of a mess. I need to develop it a little better.
Yeah, it needs a little bit of an update.
Yes, it definitely does.
Is this website for selling digital then?
Yes, it's. We primarily want to focus on digital right now as we grow. We don't want to get out there and make some commitments and print a whole bunch of comics and not have room for them for one and then not sell them for another.
Okay. Do you also
as
sell
we develop,
on...
we will probably develop and actually start printing comics.
Yeah, do you also sell on Comixology and
we're trying to get it on Comixology. We had an issue with some editing when we made a submission. I'm working on doing it so that I'm going to add all of our comics at one go because I need a Photoshop subscription in order to do that.
Alright. And right now, do you just have these 3 comics, or do you have others in production?
Well, we have more in production. We actually have an anthology series. It's a post-apocalyptic graphic novel that we're developing. And I'm going to be the one producing it, and everyone's going to be involved. Everyone's going to have their fingers into production.
Do you have a specific type of genre that you're going for? Is it all types?
Funny story about that. The company name is actually Patchwork because we wanted to be someone who did a whole bunch of stuff. We wanted to have child's themed comics. We wanted to have detective comics. We wanted to have action and adventure comics. We wanted to have comedy comics. We just wanted to branch out and just really cover the whole market and just be available for anyone who wants to write for the company.
So right now you just have the Alphonse the Dogtective and the Grind series?
Yes, and we're also working on a superhero comic called Power Fist that's going to be out shortly. The coloring stage is almost done, and then we're going to move on to lettering. And once that's done, we are going to release the first 2 issues.
Alright, that sounds good. Are you thinking about printing in the future? Or you just want to...
Oh, yeah, I want to be able to evolve and be able to print. It's just that right now our hands are a little full just trying to grow, not to... I don't want to grow too quickly and wither and die. I want to just be at a steady pace and just kind of get there when I get there. I don't want to try and force having physical print copies. I want to go be digital for the time being so that we can actually develop our company and actually get some fans, and then we can start publishing, and they'll probably come to cons to get our physical copies.
It's difficult getting out there online, you get lost in the sea.
Yeah, that's very much what is happening right now, but I'm more than willing to persevere. So many times you hear that the person doesn't succeed just because they give up, and I don't see that in my future. I'm going to keep going to try and make it, and I hope everyone in the company is willing to wait to see that be achieved, because I hope it will be achieved, and I feel like it's just a matter of time.
Definitely have to be very active on social media and campaign and market yourself a lot. I think that's one of the key things.
We've been doing that a lot on Twitter. We've been meaning to branch out, go Instagram and stuff like that. But once we have more stuff that we are actually working on and actually have more writers and artists, we'll just be advertising left and right.
Are you working with people close by that you know, or are you accepting submissions?
No, we're accepting submissions, any kind of submission really, and we're also working with people around the world, and most of the company, I would say, is actually from America, and just anyone to be a comic book writer or artist, and just anyone who wants to start we have people that don't even really want to write comics. They want to be like film writers, and we're like, they want to get into writing, and they thought comics would be a way of doing it.
So right now you're planning a superhero series?
Yes, Power Fist is the superhero series that we're developing. It's kind of like a mesh between Iron Man and Spider-Man.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Okay, well, it's about like a down on his luck high schooler who his father's killed, and he develops a power fist, his mechanical arm, so that he can go out and fight crime and try and figure out what happened to his father. And the story just kind of developed from there. Like it starts out with him like 9 years in the future, and it framing device is like his like first night. In the first issue, it's like his first night as he went out as Power Fist, and then it ends with him just basically like continuing to be Power Fist, and then a new threat appears, and that's like kind of how the first arc pans out.
Yeah, but who's your writer and artist on that one?
Right now, it is I that is writing it, and then our artists are a couple of people that are in the group. We have an inker, a penciler, and a colorist, all separate. And one of them is two of them are from India. One of them is from England. And then I know one is Seaborn Inks is his username. I think he has a LinkedIn account under that name. And then one is Sabrabi Colorist, I think his username is. And then another one is D Samrat.
Cool that you're able to link yourself with all kinds of people from around the world.
Oh yeah, one of my first artists I got through Guru was Portuguese, and he did great, and he did a very good job with that. I think it's quite funny because everyone I've talked to that was an artist in America, they ended up not really working out. They never really had the drive to become a comic book writer or artist. They just wanted to be they just wanted to kind of like get involved in the project, and they're like, oh, that's cool, but then they never really wanted to put in the work.
Yeah, and as a non-American myself, for those who do not know, I live in Brazil. I was born and raised here, and I can say a lot of Brazilians think like me as well. I always think that it's better for us to get out from here, and nowadays with the internet, it's not that difficult. Because if you write a script in Portuguese, many people will read it, but it won't reach the whole world. Like if I write something in English, most of Brazilians can read it because most of us do speak some English, and it goes out to the rest of the world. So nowadays with globalization and everything, I don't think that's much of a sense in you just do something that is not in English. And that's one of the reasons I joined Patchwork. I was the script writer for Alphonse the Dogtective, our 4-issue series. 2 of them are already out. Then Fan did a very good review about the first 2 issues. You can check out her video about that. And yeah, once you have some English skills, it's just better to go out there and work in English, find some foreigner, American or Canadian or whatever, publishing company or whatever, and do your work in English. Is just better.
Do you think digital comics will pick up in the future? Some people don't really have that much faith in it. Some people, don't have much faith in print. I've heard different opinions from both sides.
Yeah. Well, I think there'll always be print. We'll always want to have like our physical graphic novels, our physical issues of comics, but I think digital will catch on at some point. It'll expand. Once we get it to the point where you're capable of downloading the comic, owning it yourself physically in your storage device, people will probably have a little bit more faith instead of just going off of a server. Because once you're having it just on a server, your issue mainly is like, when are they going to close down, and then you're not going to have access to your comics anymore. But if you actually can physically have it downloaded onto your device, then I feel like people will be more faithful in the process.
Right. I usually prefer print myself just because I like to own something. But also, printing comics is surprisingly a little deep in the pockets nowadays. Unless you go for like newsprint like Alterna was doing. But even they're having trouble like finding a new printing company that can actually give them quality currently. So.
Yes, it's very hard.
It's not only about the money, it's also about the effort and time you have to put on to go out there and print everything and carry everything and ship everything. So right now, I think we are in a turning point in many things in our society. And as internet grows and all that stuff, I think we're in a turning point about many, many stuff in our society. And comic books is just one of the examples. I do like printed comics, I won't lie. I have a closet full of printed comics here in my house, so I won't say that I don't like it. But I will say that most of the people who enjoy it a lot are collectors. And not all readers are collectors. Some are casual readers, and for those, I believe digital comics are usually a better option. It's cheaper, it doesn't take any space from your house, and you can read it and enjoy it anytime. So for those who are not collectors, I believe digital comics are usually preferred.
Right, and I know a lot of webcomic creators who do really well online. They just get money through their ads. I guess because webcomics are really easy to share, though. They can get around the internet a lot easy.
Sure, and it's a good starting point. I mean, if you're a beginner, you probably won't have, unless you have tons of money to spend on it, but most people won't have the money to go out there and print everything and ship everything. If you don't have enough money and enough staff to do that, it can really be very, very hard. Sometimes it's not worth it. So if you're a beginner, to make a name for yourself, it's usually much better just to do digital.
Right now, our main things in the fire are Patch, our post-apocalyptic graphic novel, and we also, another plan of the company is Patchwork Publishing, which is actually going to be like for novels and short stories. And pretty soon here, shortly, we're going to have a Twitter campaign where we actually offer a $20 reward for people who submit like short stories and stuff like that, and want to actually the best one obviously will get the $20. But then eventually, once we get enough, we'll start compiling them into short stories and actually publish them, and we'll give people who won means to get published. And my main thing is like I want to be a stepping stone for people so that they can actually get into the industry. I know how hard and cutthroat it is. It's tough getting rejected 5 times. It's tough finding artists. I just want to be a platform for people to get together and actually be able to develop the things they want to develop and be the writer or artist or the creator they want to be. The one that they think they can be, at least.
Right. And it is tough trying to get into the comic industry, not only because, getting rejected, but if you want to self-publish, you want to invest in yourself, you gotta have the money to really put forward.
Exactly. Yeah, it's art's not cheap.
Not to mention, if you have to work a side job, and a lot of people who are in comics have to work side jobs. The problem then becomes finding time to actually put into your passion for your career, being comics. And some people, they get a promotion, and then you have to
make so many give up sometimes.
Yeah, you have to make the big decision. Do I go for the promotion, or do I keep on working on my passion? And
exactly. Life happens, and then you kind of forget about your dreams in the mix.
This got kind of sad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but as we said before, nowadays with the internet and globalization and all that, I think unless you're going through some very, very difficult times, there's no excuse for just giving up. Even if you're not making money out of it, you can still do it and push and hope for the best someday. So it's not like you have to put a whole lot of effort to publish something online. I mean, you have to do an effort, but just the effort to work on it, not necessarily to print it and ship it and do all that stuff that you have a whole staff to do for you. So nowadays it's much easier.
And there are a lot of people out there who will just put passion into a project for the sake of putting passion into a project. They want to do it, they get their mind set to do it, and a lot of people can recognize whenever something is very passionately made. There's a lot of love in it, and that's usually what gets things to be popular in the first place. Even like, you think about One, he created a bunch of webcomics, and even though they were poorly drawn, people saw that passion in it, and then they became so famous, now they have their own series. It's nice. It's nice to see that happen.
Well, what better example than Punch Man?
Yeah, right.
I mean, the original thing was an online comic book with like less than a meter art. It was like terrible art. Like a kid could draw like that probably. Yes. But it got huge somehow, and now it's all around the world. It's crazy. It's an exception, of course, but it shows the potential of the internet and online publishing and digital comics nowadays, I believe.
Patchworkcomics.com. It's just it's that easy. It's just the company name, and then our Twitter is Patchwork is Comics Patchworks, I believe. It's Patchwork Comics at Comics Patchworks.
What's the idea behind your little, what is it, an owl logo? Is there a story behind that?
Yeah, we decided a little mascot would be the best thing to have for the company, so we decided on an owl wearing a patchwork scarf. I believe it was.
Super cute.
I'm quite proud about how Patches turned out.
If you don't mind, I could talk a little bit about Alphonse, my comic for Patchwork.
Yeah. You guys can go on.
Okay.
I don't have to lead.
So, it's a funny story about Alphonse, how it all started. It was initially part of another project, which kind of didn't work exactly.
Maybe I should explain this first.
Okay.
When I first got into the comic book industry, I got into a company that wanted to start being a company called Mega Gear. And the whole idea behind Mega Gear was that it was basically going to be like what Patchwork is. It's just a platform to get you published. And I started seeing how little was going down in Mega Gear. I loved the guy who created the company. He reached out to me and read one of my scripts and wanted me to be in the company. And he's one of my best friends, but he just was not doing anything to advance the company. So I got with another person and we started talking and we thought maybe we could make our own. And then we made one. And then we all got together, the core group from Mega Gear, and we started writing comics and started developing a world and stuff like that. But then issues arose, and then we started another company because of it. And that's kind of how we got to Patchwork as we are now. We started out through 2 different steps. We fumbled a couple times, but we actually managed to grow into a company that is actually an established company. And now that you know the story behind all that, Tokyo can begin telling his.
Yeah. So the Alphonse story was originally from this other company. So things didn't go very well, so we decided to adapt. Of course, we told everything was, clear from the beginning. We told everybody what we're going to do with the character. Maybe change his name and everything. His name wasn't Alphonse at first, and all that, and everybody who was initially involved agreed that, so we kept going. So that's how Alphonse the Dogtective actually started. So it's a funny story. It didn't start very easily, very smoothly, as I should say. But putting that aside,
let's get some snags along the way too.
Some there are always some problems along the way, but basically what the story is about it's a fictional world, populated by cats and dogs. So there are dogs and there are cats in this world, and one of the dogs is called Alphonse. He's a detective, hence the name the Dogtective, right? And he has his partner. His name is Scooter. Scooter is a very nice and stupid guy. He's very goofy. He's very dumb, and he's not very helpful. But he tries his best, do a good job, and help Alphonse with his cases. So Alphonse is the main detective, and Scooter is the sidekick, so to speak. So he has his detective office and everything. And one day, dogs start mysteriously dying. Some dogs just appear dead out of the blue, and the police have no clue who is doing it or why. And that's how Alphonse gets on the story. Finds out about this allegedly serial killing of dogs, and he goes on a mission with his sidekick Scooter, find out who is doing this and putting the perpetrator in jail. And It's going to be 4 issues total. 2 issues are already out. You can buy them in our website, as our editor just said. And I can just say, won't spoil anything, but I can just say that at the very end, something different is going to happen. Something you weren't expecting too much. That's all I can say for now. It's a very fun story. The review is out there on Dan Fan channel. You can watch the review, and if you like it, go there and buy your digital copy of the comic. And I'll just give some credits here, because when you did the review for Alphonse, the very first thing that you mentioned, and you said you liked it a lot, was the Alphonse logo with some lenses and the bone or something. That was made by my girlfriend. Her name is Gabriella. She's a graphic designer, very, very talented and committed girl. She's done a couple works here and there for Patchworks already, and that logo was totally her idea. So I found it very interesting that you noticed right off the bat. And when I told her that, she was actually very happy. Like, oh, okay, my work's getting noticed overseas. That's pretty cool.
There you go. Oh, that's really nice. And the other comic, I didn't read the other one, but it was called Grind. It's like a...
Yeah, Grind is an interesting story. I don't know if I'm going to continue with it, because it didn't do very well. But again,
you're the writer from Grind, Matthew?
Yeah, I'm the writer of Grind. Yeah, so I'm going to continue with it, see how it does, and hopefully if it ever catches on. But it's basically a sci-fi Western world with superhero elements. The people in the world, some people have powers, and they can actually level up in a sense. Like the more animals and more people they kill, the more powers they get. My original idea was basically like a video game world where there are PCs and like NPCs, and then there's player characters. The people with these superpowers are the player characters, and they're just going around running amok in this world. And then everyone else, the NPCs, are kind of dealing with that idea, like what the world is like. Alphonse is a project that I will commit to because it's by Tokyo. My own work, I'm not too committed to, just simply because I'm the editor-in-chief and I want to give other people a focus besides myself.
Okay.
I don't want to just be like the only person running this company and then just publishing my own work.
So right now we have Alphonse, we have Grind. Power Fist is always out, right?
Power Fist is almost out, yes. We almost have the first series ready.
Almost right. Yeah. And you have the anthology coming out.
Yes, and then we are making our post-apocalyptic anthology book. I'm pretty excited about that one, not going to lie. It's going to be a crazy, wild world. I hope. Our writers are very talented, and I'm hoping they can make some very, very, very unique stories from it.
Any closing statements or speeches, or I don't know?
Well, I guess I can give my last little spiel about the company. I can just say that we're small. We don't have much. We can't offer page rates, but we're creator content owned. You keep your rights. You keep most of the money. I only keep 10% of the profits of any comic sold. The rest goes to the creative teams. And anyone that is interested, and we will publish virtually any work, art quality, writing quality. We just want to be a stepping stone for everyone, and just show other people that you can do it. We want to just get you published, show that you can do it, and so that other people will eventually start looking at you and be like, oh yeah, that is a writer, instead of just thinking like, oh, that's a guy who wants to be a writer.
Yeah. And for me, of course, I'd like to thank Dan for the platform for us to talk about our work.
Yes, greatly appreciate this.
For those who are interested, go to patchworkcomics.com and check it out, Alphonse and also Grind. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Leonardo Tokyo. Leonardo just like Leonardo da Vinci or DiCaprio, whatever you prefer, and Tokyo just like the capital of Japan, like Tokyo. So at Leonardo Tokyo, I'll be there, and you can DM me or talk to me or just follow my Twitter to see what more my future projects and how everything's coming out and everything. I'll publish more things not only through Patchwork, but I'm also have plans on publishing some other stuff in other places too. I'm very excited, and so just follow me and see what I have to do.
Yes, and then again, the company Twitter is Patchworks at Comics Patchworks, and every week we have a new tweet telling you what email and stuff that you can address us, send your messages to if you want to be published through the company. It's just patchworkcomicsllp@gmail.com. That is the email you can get in touch with me if you want to be a writer or an artist for our company.
Well, thanks for coming on, talking with me, and good luck with everything.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dan. And if you can, do the review for Grind as well. Whenever you have the time.
Yeah, I'll check that out next.
That would be even better. If you can just do, like I told you, if you could just do one, I would greatly appreciate it. But if you could do both, that's amazing.
I mean, I might as well.
Program restart.